pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening. I'd like to call the Milton Planning Commission of November 29th to order. It's crazy already. This is a regular meeting of the City of the Milton Planning Commission. I'm Kurt Nolte. This is a 7-member commission appointed by the City of Milton Mayor and City Council, created for the purpose of holding public meetings and making recommendations on rezoning, use permits, concurrent variances, applications, comprehensive land use plan, and plan map, and other related plans and amendments to the zoning ordinance. In attendance tonight, we have Commissioner Ron Gilbert, Commissioner Smeet Shaw, Commissioner Judy Birds, and myself. So,
You don't have to go through the whole.
are you sure?
That's a.
Are you sure? I just want to be sure you're okay with it,
Yeah,
'cause
no,
otherwise
there's no public hearings.
I'm feeling a little slighted here.
No. Next month we can do it.
Oh.
We'll have a lot of people
I feel, yes, yeah, I feel a cough coming on. All right, first item is the approval of the action minutes from October 26th.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. All right, under the new business, we have our quarterly tree allowance waiver update. I think we have one parcel or one address to discuss.
Yes,
All right.
just one. So, good evening, Planning Commission meeting. Sandra DeWitt, arborist for the City of Milton. I'm here tonight to present to you the tree canopy conservation ordinance waivers for the last quarter. So yes, as you mentioned, we only had one. But just to give you a little background on why I came here. So the tree ordinance, section 60-4, authorizes the administrator of the ordinance to waive any provision, and the administrator shall determine if the waiver is justified, and approved waivers will be presented to Planning Commission. Planning Commission may at this time recommend amendments to the tree ordinance. So our one waiver for this quarter was 580 Hickory Flat Road, which is an existing residence. There was an application for a tree removal permit at this residence. 2 of the trees wanting to be removed are considered specimen or qualify as specimen trees under our ordinance based on the size and condition of the trees. The reason why the homeowners wanted to remove the trees is that they're very close to the house, and they had recently had a tree fail during a storm, and they happened to be outside in their car at the time, and the tree just narrowly missed them. So they were a little anxious about trees close to their house, so they asked to get a permit to remove some of the trees that were closest to their house. Here is the address. If you're familiar with Hickory Flat Road, this is one of the parcels that we consider a flag lot. So you see it has a long stem extending off of Hickory Flat Road. And then they have a large parcel in the back that is pretty heavily wooded. I zoomed in a little so you could see what the canopy coverage of the main site without the stem looks like. So they requested a waiver from section 60-9B of the tree ordinance, which requires specimen tree replacement at 150% of the removed canopy. And if you're familiar with the tree ordinance, the ordinance also requires that any tree replacement for specimen trees be 4-inch caliper minimum at the time of planting, which is a fairly significant tree and can come with a significant cost to install. So the homeowners were a little concerned about how much it was going to cost to install. This is an elderly couple, and the husband is wheelchair bound. And I think they're on a pretty limited budget. So they were concerned about that. And because of the heavily wooded site that they had, they asked for a waiver from this requirement. The reason for the waiver was the specimen trees were very close proximity to the house, as I mentioned before, and they were worried about the trees falling or causing damage and not being able to get out of the house since the husband is wheelchair bound. And they mentioned that their existing canopy to remain exceeds the minimum canopy coverage requirement per our ordinance. So I did a quick calculation, a rough calculation, I should say, of their existing tree canopy. So this is again their site, and they are zone AG1, and they have 5.3 acres. So their minimum canopy coverage requirement per our ordinance is 25% or existing, whichever is less. Doing a rough estimate using our GIS measuring tool, I came up with their estimate canopy coverage, which doesn't even exclude the whole stem of the lot, to be plus or minus 78%. And I tried to exclude the trees that they requested to remove that are in proximity of their house. You can see one is very close to their garage area and driveway that goes along the side of the house. And then there's another one in the back of the yard that was pretty close to the back of their house. So, any questions or recommendations based on this waiver?
Any comments? With that canopy, it certainly seems like it meets kind of the intent of the
Right. Since they're exceeded their canopy coverage for the site, we figured that they still meet the intent of the tree canopy ordinance, so that's why we approved the waiver.
okay. No questions, comments, or concerns? That was easy.
That was easy.
Thank you again. And we'll have a margarita in your name.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
And the next thing is the update on the comprehensive land use plan. Welcome, Shuba.
Good evening, planning commissioners. Shubha Jangam, principal planner. So you have the report in front of you, the printed report, monthly update. But I thought today I would do something different. Instead of monthly, I would do a year-end review of all the work that we've been doing so far. And just to roll back a couple of years, 2021, when the comprehensive plan was adopted, that was the same year city did strategic plan. And they both had a long list of projects that came out of it. And the strategic plan had three major priorities, as you can see over here: sustainability and resiliency. Priority number 2, smart land planning. And priority number 3, acquire, manage, and develop land and resources. Whereas comprehensive plan actually focused on 5 areas: land use, placemaking, economic development, sustainability, and transportation. Because there was a lot of overlap, there was a master list that was created, and we worked off of that master list. And just so you know, the community development had like 42 projects to be done. Okay, so under that smart land planning priority, which is more important for community development department because most of our projects kind of align with it, there were 2 goals under that priority. Goal number 1 was to establish Milton as a location of choice for equestrian hobbyists and preserve the farm lifestyle that contributes to city's unique sense of character. And goal number 2 is to enhance city's commercial nodes and character areas while maintaining the rural charm that makes Milton special. So because there were so many projects, we had to prioritize them some way, so this was a criteria that was taken up by leadership, categorizing the project based on time sensitivity and labor intensity. And so they had kind of put them into 4 quadrants. And obviously the quadrant 1 and 2, because they are time sensitive, were kind of taken up first. And today I would like to kind of focus on community development department's work, and would like to talk about more notable projects. And these are our pure planning projects that we did over kind of last 2 years. As you can see, branding project. It's going to give us new material for marketing, future marketing and stuff like that. It is wrapping up by end of this year. I think I have, I may have a date later on in the presentation, but I need to confirm that again. Urban Growth Boundary Project is complete, which actually allows the city to redirect the growth into the commercial districts, and the same time preserve the rural part of the Milton. And Windward Parkway and Highway 9 project is one of our growth areas in Deerfield Commercial District. That is also wrapping up next month. Well, actually, they're right now in the phase where they're drafting the plan, which will be out for public to comment on. I think you guys, 3 of you, Ron, you missed it, but 3 of you were there last month for the meeting, and you probably saw all the work that is done, and I hope you liked it. Mayfair District project is also complete. This was focused on the Crabapple areas development, or rather I should say redevelopment of some of the properties. So that's our kind of smart land planning right there.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just one question. With regard to the goal, the very first goal, and under the projects we just looked at are under these 2 goals. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So the strategic plan didn't kind of specify a project as such. Some of them really came from comp plan, but they met the goal that was under strategic plan. So it's really a lot of overlap.
Okay, so these
But
are
they
strategic planning goals.
Yes, they are actually. These goals are under strategic plan. They are not under comp plan, but I'm just kind of covering both of them.
Okay.
And if you see your report, it has a reference to strategic plans code as well as comp plans code on the left 2 sides. So,
I think these are very good goals. Just focusing on goal number 1 for a moment, how is that goal communicated within and amongst city staff so that, well, clearly we have some projects that would fold under here, but there is other day-to-day business that's going on. How do these inform how city staff approaches those other projects?
Well, the goals are really overarching,
Does everyone know them?
Yeah, it's published. So
Okay.
it's on our website, the strategic plan and the goals. And there are actually multiple objectives underneath each goal. And some action items as well. Well, actually, they're not calling it action items, but they sound more like action items. And so the projects headings kind of align with those action items. But yeah, so the projects are actually, projects are kind of, they have purpose so that these goals can be achieved.
Okay.
But we have multiple projects actually in the books right now that does try to focus on creating, establishing Milton as a equestrian hobbyist. We are, especially the public work, not public, Parks and Rec is actually working with Alpharetta, and you can see in placemaking, I think it's under the placemaking projects of Complan.
Yeah.
They are working with Alpharetta to have a program so that so that, some of the, well, they don't want to create a program just for Milton, but
Right, yeah.
they want to at least have equestrian trails over here so that, it can be complementary to what is offered at Alpharetta. So the Parks and Rec department is working on small part of this goal. So each department has something that we are working on so that we can achieve this goal.
You mentioned Parks and Rec, and that just brought a thought to mind. First of all, I'm just glad the way you suggested these goals are being disseminated within the group, within city staff. But you mentioned Parks and Rec, and that just spurred a thought. If we're trying to keep this the location of choice, how did Parks and Rec rationalize having that mega park on Hopewell right next to the horse farm?
Well, I wasn't really involved into this, so I cannot answer that question. They
Yeah, I think
purchased
they
that
just-
park.
yeah.
Community development was not.
Yeah, we weren't really involved with the,
They purchased that on their own.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, maybe they haven't read this as closely as they should have. Just an observation. But anyway, thank you very much.
Okay.
And then the next chart, over the next one showed both what branding and the Windward Parkway ending next month, or is that going to bleed over to 2024?
So I have actually seen the final drawings, the concepts. They're waiting to go to council so
Okay.
that it's, and then I think in early 2024, they are going to have a ribbon cutting and everything. So it's going to be revealed to the whole city early
Great.
next year.
You've
So
got some
that's-
major things checked off this year.
Yeah. Okay. So zoning projects, as you know, UDC is wrapping up, hopefully early next year. We have completed flag lots, lot width, and cup limit. And again, they match with the goal number 2, where it says enhance, well, actually, some of them really go with the create preserving farm lifestyle and contribute to city's unique sense of character, because they enhance the code, and we want to create rural character and rural look over here. So they align with that goal. Next, we also, under our department, we now have economic development. So some of the projects here mentioned are Anita, our economic engagement manager. She's working on some of these. We continue to improve our website. We have improved economic engagement webpage, but we have more data coming up. Marketing plan is something that's going to be in near future. Now, UGB area development, this is an ongoing thing, in my opinion. I mean, in my view, because we have lots of developments that are coming up. They are in the concept stage. Robin's working with Stone Creek, the Fry's property. Those are all in urban growth boundary areas. And we continue, the department continuously work with these developers to make it happen, really, the way we want. So that's why I have it ongoing over there. And economic indicators is a new project that we just kind of started. We are looking at bringing lots of data on our website so that the residents, the business owners can look at the data and will be able to make some decisions, where the stuff is. So as I said before, we had really, in that master list, we had 42 projects just for community development department. And here on the left side, you are seeing completed ones. The right side is ongoing projects. Some of them are almost complete. For example, number 9 is a branding one, and number 10 is a UDC. So we're almost there, but we have plenty to go, almost 19. And just in the summary, we are two years into this cycle. 2025 is when we actually have to, again, go ahead and update both of these plans. So we have 29% complete, 26% ongoing, and 45% to be done. But I feel we are in a good position, we're halfway there, so.
I think that's called job security.
Yeah. And this, as last time I said, we have this new project management tool that we are actually just playing with it right now. But besides our own project, we are also tracking other people's projects. And let me show you this one over here. I opened this website. So here is the placemaking and branding projects. So here we have all the park and recs. Actually, they are on right now. They are leading those projects, but they call placemaking and branding. Most of the projects they are leading. Some of them are complete. Some of them are not complete. For example, branding is under this one, placemaking and branding. Some of the signage and other projects. So some of them are like 25% done. Some of them are almost done. Next one is sustainability. Yeah, okay. So we have landfill closure. That project is done. So I am kind of putting in, however, whenever I get the update, I hopefully will go public with this. I don't know when that plan is to go public, but we have started kind of using this as a tool instead of the Excel spreadsheet. So pretty much if you see all of them, kind of good, like over 60%, so I feel better. Any questions on this? This is on the website.
How are we, kind of on Ron's question, how are we communicating this to the residents? I mean, because again, especially tax time, when everybody's paying their tax bill,
This is
it's
why
it's nice to know that all this stuff is going on and how much is getting accomplished.
So that's why this is a clear goal. This is where they do budget. They publish their budget and stuff like that. So this is their way of being more transparent. So we're just getting started with this, but hopefully next year we'll push this out to public so they can see where we are. Some of the projects they have online and on our website, right? That especially the public works projects. Some of the projects you can see on the website, but we haven't done it for the comp plan or strategic plan, but the plan is to have it out there so that anybody can go ahead and see where we are on each project.
Good.
Okay, so back to my presentation. So just to, touch on cumulative impact of all this is to obviously, we continue to strengthen the unique character of Milton through land use planning and updating the zoning code. We are working on enhancing the Milton's brand for future marketing. And this is part of economic resiliency so that we can continue to grow sustainability and grow smart, actually. Milton's, and we also improve the quality of life through customer service and environmental resource protection, for example, our tree ordinance. So and that's part of our core, right? So all these projects kind of go hand in hand, improving the quality of life in Milton. That's it. So some of the important dates, comprehensive transportation plan is up for adoption next month. I think their presentation is on December 4th. You may want to tune in. Actually, they are also going to show the study that they have done for the District of Mayfield's traffic study. So I'm hoping to see more information over there on December 4th. Branding presentation, for now it is, I was told December 18th, but I will have to again confirm it and I will let you know when they are coming out with this. Now, Windward Highway project presentation, I thought it is on December 18th, but actually it's not. So I'm sorry about that date. I have to update that date. I think it's going to go in January. That's it. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions or comments? Judy?
I'd like to spend a little bit of time discussing what is planned for LU.1A, which is to update the Arnold Mill plan. Since it looks like
Need
that was
this.
not
Need one?
eligible for ARC funding, are
Yes.
we pursuing other alternatives?
Yeah, so we have RFP out for Arnold Mill plan. It's coming in, I think, next month. We will be getting all the proposals and then they have to be reviewed and we'll be selecting a consultant in January. The process is slow, but we'll have a consultant early January and we're gonna kick off the public meetings and
Okay, so we'll have an update on that in January. Okay.
So for the Windward Highway 9 project, once that presentation is made to city council in January,
so right
What's the
now,
next
they are
step?
writing the draft and we are going to review it in December and then it's going to get finalized. I think they told us date, and January 15th is when they're going to have a final draft of the whole plan, which I told them we need to publish it to public first and let public have some comments on it. And hopefully by end of January, well, or early February, they will have it for adoption, really. But those dates are
so if there's,
TBD for now.
so like if there is additional public comments or feedback, once it gets published out to the public, how is that information going to be compiled? How is that going to change anything? Is there going to be some other like presentation to city council first, public, and then another step again for actual adoption presentation?
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. So once we get last round public comments, they will be included into the final draft. And I'm hoping they will make a presentation and then put it out for adoption. But I don't have the dates yet. But I can keep you updated, as they go on.
I mean, yeah, I just want, obviously we came there too, so,
Yes.
but those comments that might come from that, again, if they compile those,
Yeah.
kind of the steps just to make sure that there's been opportunity
Absolutely.
to get that out again before it actually,
Yeah, I agree.
and comes before the council one time maybe, or I don't know, the procedure that way, and then adoption
Yep.
later.
Anybody else? Great, thanks. Like I say, you guys have been busy this year. It's nice to, it's good, when you start to look at it all in total,
Yeah.
you guys have been busy this year.
Yes, yes. And a lot of these projects were done in-house. I think only few projects, like 3 or 4, were done by a consultant, but most of them are like really in-house.
So I was going to make a suggestion to not have Shuba come in December since we have such a big meeting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's
That
fine.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
You-
sense.
you
Give
can-
But don't act so excited.
Yeah, Christmas vacation, go ahead. But while we're working, you just go enjoy the holidays. Maybe do some skating and some hot chocolate. We'll be working here, but
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
We'll
go
be slaving
enjoy-
away with
enjoy
that.
the-
I'll come and say hi.
No, enjoy the holidays. All right. Old business review of the bylaws of the City of Milton Planning Commission. And just so you know, Robin, this is the last thing that stands between us and the holiday dinner.
Okay.
pressure.
Hey, it's up to you all.
No pressure.
I actually have a procedural question, I guess, for Paul. Article 6 modification on bylaws. Are our options tonight to either accept the changes or defer? Can we make any modifications?
No, as I read this, we need a written statement of this presented at a meeting before the next meeting when it can be approved. And since I don't believe we had a written proposal at the last meeting, we were kind of doing it. We just went through them. This would be the first meeting. We would have to wait till the next meeting to vote on them.
Okay, so I have to say, I have one question that actually is Ron's question, so let him ask it. The changes I have are grammatical, so,
I'm
and
fine
not
if
meaningful, so the question becomes, do I just let it go because I want to get these bylaws updated? Or otherwise, do we defer it 2 months?
No. If you have, well, first of all, if we make the changes, everybody will say we handwrite and it's written in front of everyone and it's being presented for the next meeting.
Okay, as long as they're in writing, which we could say, pass it down and say, yes, members should be lowercase and this should be chairperson, not
So
just
you're
chair.
saying we could make some edits for the preparation of adoption for next month?
Right.
As well as
If we
the
can
statement.
get something in front of us that everyone has to understand what will be coming before them next month.
Okay, thank you for the clarifications, because Samit was also over here doing the same thing, and I was like, let's clarify if we can even make changes, or if this is, yeah, okay,
I mean,
so
if we
they,
started changing substance and then I would have probably a different opinion.
Samit might have, and I'll defer to Ron, because he brought up a question to me earlier in a phone call today.
Sure, this is a, while I was reviewing the BZA bylaws, in the very early in the document, section 3, it talks about that Robert's Rules of Order would be used in that setting. But our bylaws are silent on that point. Are we, or should we be using Robert's Rules of Order, or are we required in some other ordinance to use Robert's Rules of Order, or is there a different standard for our body?
Well,
So I looked up the administration section. I mean, you can double check, but I didn't see any it just says that each board could decide how to operate
Mhm.
in their procedures. It doesn't say in the chapter 2 administration under boards and commission that you have to have it. So to have Robert's rules.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I found as well, Robin. It appears that the Design Review Board, BZA, and City Council are required to abide by Robert's rules, and I question whether that was because they are judicial or quasi-judicial, and we are not.
I doubt that.
That's the reason.
It doesn't make that logical sense, it's just over time.
Technically would almost be reversed, that Robert's rules would apply to a legislative body more so than a quasi judicial body. So
Okay.
I don't think that was the thought that was put into it.
Yep. My next question then kind of comes as a counter to say, if we say we're going to abide by Robert's rules, most people are not familiar with the fact that Robert's rules is like 1,000 pages of very small print. Most people know the little 2-page cheat sheets. Are we binding ourselves to something that could be cumbersome?
Yes. I mean, we're interpreting in a zoning ordinance, which I think would qualify as cumbersome under that kind of approach to it.
Or
don't know
rewriting
that
a
it's a
UDC? Yeah, so, so I think there's a downside to saying we're required to abide by Robert's rules, because there may be times we want to expedite things.
We're not proposing that tonight, are we?
No,
Oh,
that's why the
okay.
question came up.
Okay.
So the question becomes kind of your sense of, your thoughts on the pros and cons of inserting that we will abide by Robert's rules. So in other words, something like inserting the BZA section, Article 1, Section 3 into our Article 1.
If I were to give you a practical response to that, I would say it's rare that someone pulls out their Robert's rules and applies them. There are aspects of it that could apply, but typically in a small body, it's not as imperative. It really just gets down to, do I have to make an amendment to, or propose an amendment to the motion, or just kind of wing it? And that's when we're actually kind of applying Robert's rules without really saying we're applying them. So you have gotten by without them. I don't have a problem with them being adopted. I would say if we do that, we will need to, that would be a substantive change to what's here tonight. We need to talk about whether we do that, present a different version at the next meeting and then vote in January.
So it's not required to have that statement.
It's not required.
And we get flexibility without it. And
Right now, and 1,000 pages is burdensome in anybody's book. So, and again, there's the written, but then there's a practice. We can adopt whatever we want to, however we want to run this, correct? Without it being specified in there.
If challenged, you need to comply with what your bylaws say. If those bylaws say Robert's rules, then you need to comply with Robert's rules. If they don't address it, then apply as best the chairman, can run his meeting.
Ron,
There's-
I'm leaning
I think
toward
we-
let's not bind
let's
ourselves,
not do
otherwise
that.
I'll be suspending orders and all that other stuff.
I agree. I think it's great
Let's not go
guidelines,
there.
and we can use the guidelines as we want, but I agree, if we tie ourselves to the whole shebang, I think that could be onerous.
yeah, I'm just glad we consciously have addressed the issue and decide to pass.
Okay.
But the counter is, again, why do the other boards, committees have it and then we don't?
Because they're not as cool.
Yeah.
They don't trust
I mean,
And they are quasi judicial.
I will say, if there's a dispute, it gives you something to fall back on and point to, rather than,
Yeah.
saying, well, we didn't do it before, or,
Right.
well, we've always done it that way. It does give you some, and that gives, if there is a dispute, you can pull out the book, go to page 472, and identify which particular provision is applicable. So it is a solid backbone to your process, if you want that.
But given that we are a recommending advisory board as opposed to an approving authority, is it less likely that our recommendations can be disputed?
With the way it would play out is typically it would be that this is not a final decision subject to appeal. So it wouldn't be challenged. Now, if somebody really wanted to dig down after to the city council's decision, well, rather than provide hints on how to challenge something, I can discuss with you what role that might play. But that it could be something that can be attacked. Anyone can dig wherever they want and say, well, the process anywhere along the line was flawed, therefore I'm going to challenge the end result. So they wouldn't necessarily be challenging your decision, but they were saying if your recommendation process was flawed, then the entire process is
Was
flawed.
flawed.
That could be the theory on which it was made.
For the good of the commission, I'm leaning toward let's not bind ourselves
So, yeah, I agree.
and conduct ourselves as close to it anyway.
I mean, I think we should be consistent if everybody's going to have it and we don't, and again, it, like you said, kind of provides that guideline for us in terms of how we're operating. Otherwise, we're just, I mean, I've heard it referenced before here many
Yeah.
times.
Even though we
But
weren't bound by it.
technically, I guess we weren't bound by it, but then we're referencing it.
Yeah.
And I will say, I haven't done a deep dive. I've done a quick search and didn't find
find
where it
anything.
was.
Yeah, I mean, I looked today just to see
Yeah.
what, it doesn't say that you have to do that, so.
And at least my observance has been is we probably run closer to Robert's rules than some of the other boards.
And I was, anything that, if I'm at it, I try to keep it to that, just, not fully willy-nilly.
Yeah, exactly.
With regards to, and I know Samit has some, because I've seen him scratching as well. With regards to what I'll call grammatical cleanup, like mine are literally capitalizations and extra space, that sort of thing.
No problem.
How do we, and you might have some more that are more substantive, Samit, and some of the others. How do we proceed with that, since this is our final chance to present it in writing if we want to approve it in December?
I would suggest that you identify, all those typographical, editorial, copywriting changes.
So I had another, which it might throw a kink in the thing, but under meetings, Article 5, Section 4, I see that we forgot about listing out preliminary plats. I don't know if that's important enough to you all, or just put it under new business and then have it moved up, because I like to have the preliminary plats before the use permits, rezonings, just because they tend not to take as much time. But I don't know if you want to, I would think that would be a more substantive change to add, because that's one of their responsibilities is
I
to
think it's,
review
I
preliminary
would add it,
plats.
because we've also made a red line in Article 2, Section 3, specifically identifying that we're making recommendations on proposed preliminary plats.
Yeah,
So we're
Oh, okay.
updating this to basically
be
that.
consistent,
call that out, that we, and then if we're not going to have that in our kind of
agenda.
agenda.
Well, there's nothing forcing us to vote on this next month, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
could.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
know why.
December, January, in the
Yeah.
scheme of things,
And if you're talking
let's do it
about,
right rather than.
I mean, I think it's a nice thing to have that in the
And would you-
line up for the agenda, because we haven't had that officially before. So, and that's one of your responsibilities.
Where would you put it in the order of things?
I would put it after general public comment before the rezonings and the use permits. So that way it's out of the way before all the,
And how would you word it?
consideration or recommendation of preliminary plats, recommendation of preliminary plats.
Is it actually just a review?
Well, technically you do make recommendations. So, yeah.
Consideration
Just
of.
put consideration of,
I
yeah.
think that
Okay,
consistent, keep it
consideration, okay.
consideration.
Like everything else.
Yeah. If we're going to make changes to this extent and try to push back in number 5 there, let's make that a single consideration.
Yes.
Yep.
Do we want to, our favorite page turn and just, I think Samit has few, and just capture some of the,
Sure.
Kurt, you want to? I think we're just going to do a page turn.
Okay. Article 1.
One less margarita. You did. Sorry.
All right, no. All right.
No, after parties at Kurt's house.
After the
We may
after.
be shifting from Trace Lunis to El Waffle Hoso,
Casa de
the only
Waffle.
ones that are open.
Let's do this.
Okay, so,
Casa de Waffle.
Bring your mic down, Samit.
Good.
okay, so page 1, if we're going to do, this is relatively short compared to the
Yeah.
monstrosity. So, all right, let's walk through this. Section 1, we see the red lines on here. Anybody have anything to change or additions on Section 1, Article 1?
I was just gonna go ahead and define, because I know we've got commission throughout. So, the planning commission, and then go ahead and define them in parentheses, commission. And that'll take care of commission throughout.
Okay, on the first line.
Yeah, that's on the first line. And then Section 2, Article 1, Section 2, that last line, I was trying to make sense of what it was, for the transaction of its business, it is authorized
Yeah, I agree.
to,
There's a word missing. I think.
something, yeah, it is authorized to adopt and then
Yeah.
a period after adopt.
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on one sec.
And then I had Article 2, Section 1, when Milton's comprehensive plan comes, to go ahead and define that as in parentheses, comprehensive plan.
We want to call it the plan, just say plan.
Well,
There's
Can-
other
can we
plans.
get-
There's-
I'm sorry, and I've gone back to my notes from the meeting where we went through these comments, and I apologize, I didn't cross-reference the red line here. I showed that in Article 1, Section 2, we changed it to say, as allowed by Chapter 2, yada, yada, the commission is authorized to adopt rules, procedures, and guidelines for the transaction of its business. And so that's where that is authorized to,
okay,
Instead of it hanging off the end.
got
Yeah,
it.
instead of, yeah.
Commission is authorized, okay.
that makes better sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Say that again, Paul?
In the middle of the second line, the commission, and then it would say, is authorized to adopt the rules.
So move that dangling
Yeah,
is authorized to adopt up. Yeah,
got it.
Hereby adopts.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And keep as referenced herein.
Nope, that still comes out.
Okay.
That's what my notes, at
You
least
still
what
need
I
a period at the end of after business then.
I'd like to propose that Sumit's copy be the official written copy.
I think, given the changes we're making, I think we're going to push it back a month.
So present them again in December,
Yeah.
review them, and then vote on them in January.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Then, and again, this is more of a style thing. So Article 2, Section 1, at the end, you've got here and after city. So I don't know if you want to use that same style format for like what I was talking about with commission and comprehensive plan, or just put, in parentheses, city.
I agree, consistent throughout. I don't care which.
What you're saying is remove the here and after and put parentheses on
Yeah,
city?
that's what yeah.
Robin, you good with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Section, anything else on Article 2?
That's all I had on page 1.
Okay, nothing on our page 1, we're good? All right,
I think did you have space? Just take out that extra space in section 2, between B and C.
Yeah, but it is between D and E and E and F, so.
Oh, then, or add it between A and B then.
Yeah.
Because it's a red line, that space may not be there.
Oh, it is redlined out.
Okay.
Yeah,
yep, that's what.
it is.
Okay,
Okay.
Never mind on the extra
Anyway,
space,
just
it's
figure out
redlined
the
out.
spacing.
Yeah.
all right, and page 2?
The only thing I could see is in Article 4, Section 1. It appears Article 3 is red, but I think it needs to be, it was intended to be deleted, and it's supposed to read Article 5,
Go down, second from the bottom.
second to last line.
So red, so 3 instead of being red should just be crossed out.
Yeah.
All right, good catch. Anybody else on page 2? Page 3.
I did not see in Article 4, Sections 2, 3, and 4, where we defined what a member was, though we capitalize it here. So we either need to define it up front if we're going to use it. And I didn't see a natural place to define who were the members of the planning commission. It probably should be somewhere up front.
Article 2, Section 1.
I think it's almost descriptive, but such that we would set maybe each time to say each member of the planning commission or of the commission.
Yeah. Or in Article Section 1, you could add a sentence, each
Says commission members.
Each member hereinafter member.
At the bottom of page 2, I think, is the first reference to commission members. Nope, I see it. In Article 3, Section 1.
Yeah. So either,
Yeah.
it looks like we use it enough, we probably want,
Want to define that, or do you want to put commission in front of every member?
yeah. Or the commission shall, from among the members of the planning commission hereinafter member.
Yeah, well, parentheses, quote, member.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Okay.
Don't ask me to repeat it.
All right.
So
So we'll make those changes throughout then, I'm assuming?
Well, that's what,
from among the planning commission members and then in parentheses, members?
What I wrote
From among the members of the planning, from among the planning commission members, yeah.
I like members of the planning commission.
Members of the planning, the first way, okay. Member,
And then later on, it can be planning commission members or
or just member.
just, yeah.
Then says, anytime we then use the term member, like in Article 4, Section 1, then we should capitalize it.
That might require a search.
It's also in Article 3, Section 3. So to recap on 2, adding the phrase to define member in Article 3, Section 1, capitalizing members in Article 3, Section 3, and Article 4, Section 1.
Okay.
You get the extra members in Article 3, Section 1, that last line. There's a capital there.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause that helps on Article 4, Section 2, where it says member shall other members. That helps clean that up too, quite a bit. Okay. We're on page 3 now. Page 3.
So page 2,
Okay.
Section 2, so for Section 2E well, let's start with E. It just says like land use plan. Is that,
this comes from the Steinbergs. These are very kind of set in there. I wouldn't really mess with the verbiage of it.
The land use plan is a section of the comprehensive plan, though, isn't it?
Right, I mean, it's, yes, but these are kind of the set way that the Steinbergs are created, so, yeah, but it's probably referring to the company.
but that's what I'm saying. You even just said it, probably referring like, should
Well,
it be
I mean-
more clear?
Well, it kind of does cover it in the preamble to in Article 2, Section 2.
Yeah, so it says, planning commission bases its decision on the established policy, the comprehensive plan, and other related. The zoning proposal will permit.
Under appeals? No.
I mean, this is what's in the zoning ordinance to say that you have to consider these
Yeah.
terms, these statements. So I just am a little hesitant to change this. And
Well, I
think
wouldn't change, I want it to match what's in,
in the zoning
you know,
ordinance.
which section it is off the top.
It would be under the zoning, whatever, rezoning and text amendments. I can't remember which article it is, but
Sections.
it's after all
I
the,
got it.
yeah. So it's going to give the 7.
So you're saying you want that to match the zoning?
Right. Well, yeah, we wanted to match, the zoning to match this. That's what you're saying.
Final voting. General amendments.
Did you find it or you're just, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Gone through all this stuff and it
There
doesn't,
was a copy of the zoning appeal. I don't see it in there.
land use petitions.
DGAs?
Maybe initiated. Initiate. Petition requirement.
Zoning and other.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the bylaws for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Is it nowhere to say what the,
Here it is. It's, the zoning impacts
64-2104.
64-2104, and then C is whether the zoning proposal will permit a use that's suitable, blah, blah, blah.
okay, there we go. Zoning
Yes,
impact
number-
analysis factors are, okay, there we go.
Yeah, so where the zoning proposal is in conformity with the policies and intent of the land use plan.
Yeah.
Whether there are other existing or changing conditions affecting the use and development of the property. But we can just check that to,
I'm going through. now.
Okay.
Adversely affect.
64-2104.
Alternate use, excessive,
C.
burdensome. Conformity with the policy. E.
so it says, so be as citizens of the city instead of,
Change that to the city.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then yeah, you got a bunch of planning commissions that you need to change to just commission, because that's throughout. Even though we define planning commission as commission, and then it's still throughout planning commission comes up. You have to go make that change too, if you're gonna do it that way.
But the idea is that Article 2, Section 2, A through G will match
zoning ordinance.
64-2104C, 1 through 7.
Yes.
Because the other one I was going to ask about is F, because it says for either approval or disapproval, instead of, I was going to suggest for either recommending approval or disapproval. Because we're obviously not making the approval or disapproval.
Well, we.
But the
the-
council
the
ultimately does.
original paragraph or the paragraph that opens that list
Mhm.
says through and recommendation with respect to those 7 factors.
Yeah.
So so the recommendation is written into that opening paragraph. of
And then
section.
ultimately, it's the council who also considers the same 7 factors.
And aren't these 7 factors somehow like tied into zoning, like state zoning law or?
Right, that's
Case
what
law.
this is Steinbergs.
Okay.
They call it, they're known as the Steinbergs.
So even though it's just it just says land use plan, I mean, that's just, seems
Yeah.
just very broad, like, what's the land use plan?
Well, when I use it, when I discuss the staff report, I refer to whatever applicable comprehensive plan. So currently it's the 2040 land use plans. Look to that one, and 5-6 years ago, it was a 2035 one. I've always, used land use plan, the comprehensive plan.
So is land use plan somehow also referenced with comp plan, like comp plan and land use plan are one and the same somewhere?
Well, I mean, I think what we were saying before that, yeah, I don't know technically, I just know from practice, that's what we do. And then section 2, the preamble says establish policy with other plans.
I think that's, I don't know specific, but that's certainly the way it is it applied. For purposes of these bylaws, I do want them to match what it says here, and this says the land use plan here. So
Would be okay in Article 2, Section 2 to address this. It was with the established policy of the comprehensive plan, including its land use plan and other related plans. So it's clear the land use plan is in there. Is that better?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that would potentially help. I think, again, I don't, if somebody's going back and saying, well, the 7 factors, I mean, the 7 factors don't specifically say the comp plan. Obviously, it's the most latest comp plan, but it just says land use plan. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, but we,
and it's,
but we can't really mess with the 7 bullet points. We need to kind of copy the way, to keep them consistent with state law, but we could do it in the preamble.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's fine. At least it's somewhere
Yep.
there that kind of references where,
Where to find it?
yeah, what the 7 factors are talking about,
Yeah.
How do you want to word that?
So after, in Article 2, Section 2, after of the comprehensive plan, comma, including its land use plan, comma, and other related plans.
Will that cover us?
Yeah, and then so back to the kind of just how you want to set up the naming. So if we're going to go with, hey, once you've defined it, like planning commission, you defined it as commission, then throughout, are we going to just say commission instead of the planning commission? Okay. Same thing I know we were talking about with city or whatever too. So, I mean, so planning commission, everywhere that is, you're going to have to change that to just commission.
Okay. So back to page 2. Good. Okay. Silence is a yes. Page 3.
On Article 5, Section 2, for consistency, chairperson or capitalized vice capitalized chairperson.
And then in that same section two, members, if you want to capitalize M in members. And then Article 5, Section 1, I think, just to make it clearer, I would just say shall be held on the fourth Wednesday of each month.
Well, yeah, because it looks like the of each month is kind of dangling in the middle of the next sentence, so it's just misplaced. So it should,
And move the end of each, or Wednesday of each month, of each month on the second line,
to after
call the
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Yeah,
or set forth by approved meeting schedule.
No, 'cause it
Honestly,
says
I
it
think
right
just
here.
take or as set forth by the approved meeting schedule and throw that all the way at the end. It modifies everything.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay,
so take or as set forth by the approved meeting schedule through month out.
I just put that at the end.
No,
Everything.
no. Then you just have of each month there.
Yeah.
Keep that of each month.
Okay, oh, I see.
Yeah.
all right. Anything else in Article 5?
The only section 5, Article 5, Section 5, I don't know if you then also want to just say the chairperson or vice chairperson, if it's the vice chair.
But don't we in Article 4, Section 2, just say chair or vice chair? We continue with that, or she said chairperson?
Consistency has been chairperson throughout, everywhere else except in Article 5, Section 2,
Okay, so chairperson or
Vice
vice
chairperson.
chairperson.
or vice, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
The chairperson, so Section 5 or vice chairperson.
chairperson?
They're just setting it up as one word right here.
Right, it's one word after it, so should there be a? No?
Or like vice vice
Well, no, in
hyphen?
chairperson, just think it's split to the second
Yeah,
line, should
it's
that be
split.
hyphenated at all?
Chairperson is one word, not two, and in the italicized at the bottom.
Okay,
In Article 5, Section 4, the following capitalizations need to be made for consistency. In 1, allegiance and invocation should be capitalized. In 3, minutes, actions, previous meetings should be capitalized, and we talked about the insertion of consideration of preliminary plats. We talked about in 5, just consideration of. In 7, consideration of changes should be capitalized and other plans should be capitalized. So it's interesting in Article 5, Section 4, the chair has been calling for a motion for someone else to amend the agenda, but I went back and looked at Robert's rules, and it is usually the chairperson who calls for that motion, which is what is consistent here.
okay.
I'm losing my job, Kurt. So on Article 5, Section 4, the agenda shall be followed unless the chairperson makes a motion to hear items.
Okay.
Chairperson or vice chairperson, yeah.
Yeah. So in reality, the vice chairperson only does it if they're acting as the chairperson because the chair isn't there.
Right.
So normally, in that
Then it
case,
would
the
be the-
vice chair is the chair.
Good point.
Yeah.
That may take you back to the change to Article 5, Section 2. That gives the vice chairperson the right, without having to accede to the chair's role, to call a meeting, call a special meeting. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's what kind of,
So should we add in the event that the chairperson is not?
in either.
it does say that in 3.2. Article 3, Section 2 says the vice chairperson takes over for the chairperson. So I'm wondering if we should not be talking about either the chairperson or the vice chairperson.
Right,
It should be the chairperson,
right,
because
think
it's
so.
the vice, otherwise two people could call a meeting.
right.
So we're moving or vice chair on all these?
Sure, I think so in Article 5, Section 2. Where's the next, where's another one?
Yeah, so Article 3, Section 2 covers, the vice chairperson shall perform the duties of the chairperson.
Yeah, so we
Chairperson's
shouldn't be
absence.
calling it out in the other places. Otherwise, as Paul pointed out, it looks like the vice chair could say, yeah, I want to have a meeting.
So then we just need to change it all to chairperson still.
Yeah. So the real question becomes, this is a regular meeting of the City of Milton Planning Commission. I am,
The vice chairperson acting in the role of the chairperson in the absence of the chairperson.
so it should say I am your name chairperson or your name vice person acting
Can we change that though?
in the role of chairperson.
Yeah, just say, and add it, say, acting in the role. Chairperson, if we want to get technical, pursuant to these bylaws, pursuant to our bylaws.
Okay, you're good?
I'm good on it. Is anyone that's tracking it?
Yeah.
All right.
I love the top of page 4, which specifically talk about the comprehensive land use plan and plan map.
Other related plans.
So should we talk about the comprehensive plan and the land use plan map and other related plans? Is that more accurate? Robin, is it more accurate? At the top of page 4, is it more accurate to say comprehensive plan and land use plan map and other related plans? And that helps kind of,
At least it's consistent.
yeah. Because I know I kept looking for a bunch of words when I was looking for the land use plan, and it's like, no, it's just the map.
Okay.
So then, and then after that, let's see here, should it say introduce commission members?
Introduce members,
Or
Board members.
just members, because we already defined members.
as a part of the commission?
Yeah.
Yep, so introduce members.
Okay.
Okay.
So the other question I had about in meetings in section 5, do we need to somehow define in here what the agenda, like what is considered the agenda? I mean, we just use the reference, draft an agenda, agenda is going to be followed, agenda, but
Should we call it out as the below agenda shall be followed?
That's
which below, where are you? When you
This is the
Yeah,
agenda.
here's, I think,
Agenda.
now that you say this, section 4 there, the as follows needs to have that list immediately following it.
Yeah.
Then I think take that next sentence, the agenda shall be followed, can be part of section 4, but not part of the list, but after the list.
So move that last
After the
sentence
list.
after the list. Okay.
Yeah, the last sentence after the list, yeah.
But technically, like, I know those are the items that make the agenda per se, but like, what do we technically consider the agenda to, what is the agenda? Is it because it's published wherever that may be? What makes that the agenda per se?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Will,
When does it become the agenda?
Yeah.
When it's published?
there is an agenda presented by the staff that which effectively they publish it. That's how you know it's being presented. You can amend that.
But it becomes an agenda only once it's published.
I don't know if there's any reason to distinguish anything different from that.
Okay.
I mean, technically they may, I'm trying to figure out, like, they may write it
And then not
send
show
it
it
to
to anybody?
the person that does IT. I don't know. I don't know. There's a concern as to when it becomes the agenda.
I mean,
Is
I'm,
it-
The published agenda?
I'm just saying, we just reference agenda, but like, we don't actually say
The
like,
staff is directed to draft an agenda for meetings based on the order of business as follows. So staff drafts an agenda.
But when does it become, they might have multiple drafts. When does it become the official agenda?
I think when it's published.
I will say when it's published.
Draft and
I mean,
publish?
I don't know if there's any other
Published agenda shall be
point that
followed.
we could point to, any other point in
When it's
time
published,
to
that's
which
the
we could.
official agenda.
and published in
On
the,
so we have a
The website and the-
software that we create the agenda and then we publish it, I mean, we have a practice of doing it like a week, 5 days before or sometimes sooner, but obviously we have to publish it at least 24 hours before the meeting. I mean, the open record, or whatever,
Meetings Act.
sunset, sunrise, whatever they're called.
Open Meetings Act,
Yes,
sunshine
open-
laws.
Sunrise.
Sunrise.
We're gonna do Fiddler on the Roof.
so, I mean, then, so then Article 5, Section 4, would it be beneficial to change that second sentence instead of saying is directed to draft an agenda versus like the staff publishes an agenda for the meeting or the published agenda for the meeting based on the order of business as follows, Because again, it says draft an agenda, but
Right,
what is
right.
that?
So you should put draft and publish?
I think what they
don't
mean
know
is
if
draft
dra-
is to create the agenda, not
Yeah.
to draft.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so, but I like what you're saying, the published agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even use the word draft. It's
Yeah.
like, you've made this the agenda. You may have done drafts on your own, but like, for our purposes, like, that's the agenda.
Right.
But
Right.
if number 2 is the adoption of the agenda, is that when it becomes the official agenda?
Not, for purposes of what we're doing, there's no problem with having that as an agenda item.
Okay.
Okay. So we,
So something, what, the staff publishes an agenda for meetings based on the order of business as follows?
creates and publishes?
Staff shall publish.
Publish an agenda.
Then do we change that agenda? From the agenda to that agenda shall be followed? And specifying which agenda?
Well, I'd say the published agenda shall be followed.
Okay. All right.
Just out of curiosity, do you want only the chair to be able to amend the agenda?
Because you could restate it to say the published agenda shall be followed unless the chairperson or a member makes a motion,
Then you can just say any member, right?
Right, that was saying. that-
unless any
Yeah,
member,
it's just a member,
Plus a
because the
member.
chair is also a member, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But you wanted that sentence, that last sentence to come after
The
this,
list.
Correct.
yeah, the list, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they have to do more than make the motion, right? Doesn't the motion have to be voted on? And are we getting to, read that then? The published agenda shall be followed unless the chair makes a motion.
Or unless a member makes a motion to hear the agenda items on the agenda out of their assigned to order, and it is approved by the, and it is approved. You can't just,
Theoretically, you could just say unless a motion to hear items is approved.
okay.
Unless,
We can, without saying it, I think we can say if anyone can make a motion unless it says otherwise.
Yeah. The agenda will be, so it now says, after the list of 1 through 10, the published agenda shall be followed unless a motion to hear items on the agenda out of their assigned order is approved.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Back to page 4.
Emily, you good?
yeah. I'm running out of room on this section, so if we could,
You guys wanted to vote on this
Next
next
page.
month?
Waffle House is looking a lot more.
Wait, what time is Tracy Loomis close?
I thought I checked. I think we're okay.
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 All right. So, page 4. Taking out board members, we're taking board out of the introduce board members, to introduce members. What else?
We moved land use in
See,
front of plan
and-
map.
And here we say posted agenda.
Published?
Published.
Where is that?
First
Right
line
after
under
introduce members.
introduce.
Oh, yep.
Okay. So we have this, where all speakers identify themselves by name, address, organization. I know at the last city council meeting, somebody wasn't comfortable giving their address. But that doesn't, and she was forced to give it anyway. That's something we absolutely have to do. These are crazy times.
Not aware of a requirement.
Again, we're just talking about planning commission. The council have to do their own thing. Does it matter if they give us their address?
Let me see if it's in the code.
Yeah, it might be in the code. The other thing further down is it, just to be consistent, we've got Department of Community Development, then we have Community Development Department. Which one do we need to?
Whatever the city officially calls you.
The last time I looked, it was community development
Yeah, I was gonna
department.
say Community Development Department.
Okay, so then the third paragraph on the bottom, just change that first sentence to say Community Development Department.
Okay.
We want to say something about so in that same paragraph, I know working on a ordinance change and maybe reference as required by the Milton zoning ordinance or Unified Development Code, because soon it's going to change. What is it?
That,
That's
This is
what
gonna be the
Ken said
bylaws.
when
Yeah.
we were working on that clarification on administration. You were not involved with it, but when I refer to you missed something. No, I don't know. So when I refer to the zoning ordinance, he suggested to also say, or the Unified Development Code.
yeah, I mean, that'll save a future change.
Yeah.
Okay. Changes or comments on page 4?
Is count the second paragraph to the bottom, should it say council, should chambers be capitalized? Is it officially like council chambers here? Both words are capped.
Also,
We had it somewhere else. We did have Article 5, Section 1, we say council chambers, capital C for chambers.
That's not the third.
right, so also, I really don't like saying 3.5 from this here. I just,
Yeah.
like, can we just say will be held after this hearing and to be honest, sometimes, well, now it's not the third Monday, but it's the first Monday that we hear it typically, but then if it's really a pressing matter, it's not always the first 5% of the time. But,
Don't we need to say anything?
yeah,
Just that it'll be forwarded for final disposition.
yeah, I like that, yeah.
Okay.
Makes it easier.
Plus words to say.
Move in the right direction.
But should we, I mean, that's fine, but should we then still at least say, shall be forwarded to the city of Milton Mayor and City Council for final disposition at a
Forthcoming meeting, upcoming.
forthcoming hearing in the council chambers? Something to that effect, so that it's still recognized that it's going to be in a public forum.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would say it would be ideal if we knew at this meeting when it would be scheduled to be heard, to say
mean,
that.
we would.
And the reason is, it's one more time if we go into court and they say, we didn't know if, well, the planning
Right.
commission told you it was also published in the paper, it was also on a sign.
Could we,
I'm just concerned, like, when because this is a statement you make up front, and maybe you have, well, this one's going to be heard at this time, and this one's going to be heard at another time because of some extenuating circumstance. Is it better to discuss? I like the idea that it is going to be at a
Well,
public meeting, but we
assume-
don't necessarily know when.
Well,
Do we?
I would assume as we're sitting here, if we had something, we would have an expectation
would
of,
you be
it would
okay
be
that-
scheduled for, as
Yeah.
of tonight. If we had something tonight, it would be scheduled for
So
the
can we
meeting.
just keep that an open thing? Or the date that it's
Yeah,
supposed to be?
we
scheduled.
could give
Yeah.
it,
But what if it's deferred?
Well, as of,
as of time.
Even if you
Items-
deferred it, then.
items, if it says
It says final
No,
disposition.
planning
because this is
commission's
read before.
recommendation will be forwarded, if we don't vote on a we say planning commission's recommendations will be forwarded for final disposition. So if you defer, it's not in that category of recommendations. If the city council does something with it, that's after this statement, which we're going to write it so that it.
I get it. So I mean, it's not
Okay.
going to be
Yeah, it
forwarded
hasn't
yet
been
if
heard
you
if it's
defer it.
deferred.
It's
Right.
not going to get forwarded until
Right.
there's a
So the planning
dismissal.
commission recommendations will be forwarded to the city of Milton mayor and city council for final disposition.
At the X meeting, like.
Currently,
The next upcoming council meeting?
well,
Well,
is
it's
it
not the next one,
Right.
but
Okay.
Like
we
a
can give
couple
you, we can give
meetings.
you a date for all the items.
Yeah, so it's kind of like when you come in, get the date or,
Right.
We'll give it to you.
For whoever.
Or just pause and
But is
they'll
that
jump
okay
in.
to
Yeah,
not,
that's true.
yeah, but is that okay that they're just going to give that date
It's
without
already
it being,
published in all the notices.
It is published.
So
okay.
we put a sign up, we send letters.
The date's decided from the time
Yeah,
they.
it's
Say as published?
decided.
as
It's just what I'm
published.
saying, over long-term, over time, there could be an item. I don't want to set a certain criteria in here when there's, 1 out of 10 times it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Rather make sure that the chair gets
You say
the
it's,
date.
is expected to appear on the city council's agenda on
Right.
blank date.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always get confused too with the first readings and the
Right.
actual, is it on the agenda? You
Well, it's
know,
on
what?
the agenda, but it's not
They
for
don't.
public.
And you
Not
can
the
make
zoning
public,
agenda that there's public hearing.
yeah. So maybe there is the for first reading and then actually when it's on the meeting, because that gets confusing for people too.
Okay.
And then the last paragraph, last sentence, I don't know if we want to just clarify and say, the community development department staff's recommendation. Because we don't say who's what staff.
Or either way.
Development staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Page 5.
The roof is fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All right, page 5.
Well, that's a lot to read, isn't it?
But on nights like tonight with the sea of citizens here,
Well,
and the paragraph I still don't like is the going with the contributions. But
It's the law.
We're getting rid of planning a lot for the
Yeah,
commission. That
less
should help a little
words.
bit.
the little wins, it's the little victories we have to celebrate. All right, so page 5. Not to exceed 14 minutes? General comment is 14 minutes?
I don't know where that comes from.
Someplace else it says 10.
Right, well, the city.
Oh,
council
this
has
is
10.
general public
it's-
comments.
Oh, general public.
I guess it's rounded by 2, I guess visible by 2.
I don't know where that, I've been looking, I don't see anything. I
Only
think it was
7
just something
people.
that was created when we became a city and maybe it was just,
7 people, that's enough?
That's it.
yeah. Well, I meant like they probably got it from Sandy Springs.
Oh, I see, okay. Or they figured 7 people is probably all that will ever show up.
Did we go for now? I mean, because we always extend it anyway,
Right.
so it's not like it's a hard stop
We
for us.
very rarely have general public comments.
Yeah.
Uh,
Watch,
All
there's
right.
gonna be 10 of them next week.
Yeah. Section 7, number 4, I think there's an extra space before the insert. There's 2 spaces instead of 1 before the and.
Okay.
Ooh. Between 4 and 5, those parentheses, I think they refer to the same thing and should probably read the same.
Oh, right, the applicant and those.
And 5, the chair calls for public comment. It's still 10 minutes in favor and 10 minutes against. Or do you do that? This is a full public hearing, correct?
Yeah.
So, wow, this really needs.
You say get rid of the parentheses?
The BZA on page 4
Yeah.
is a little clearer.
I think that has been vetted. Yeah, on page 4.
What's different about all of them on the BZA, 1 through 15 versus ours? Should we just have all of them? Either the design review order has been more frequent, or, and again, in this case, clearly, I think it spells it out better.
I would rather we use the BZA section 7, because I think it's clearer
Right.
on 6, 7, on their 6, 7, 8, and 9 than what we've tried to mush together in 4, 5,
My question is, why don't we
6,
use
and
just,
7.
why don't we just their
and
entire,
8.
their entire section 7? Why don't we
I
just
like that.
We can,
Supplant that in there for consistency. Is there anything in there that doesn't pertain to us?
So all of it, 1 through 15.
Yeah, instead
It's,
of ours, 1 through 14.
It's trying to say the same thing. I think the BZA says it more clearly.
Mhm.
Because it's been rewritten in the last decade.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do make note that chair will be chairperson, board will be commission,
Yeah.
members will be capitalized,
Translated into our,
translated into planning commissionese.
yeah.
all right. So we've got a new 1 through 15 there. Right.
yay.
I want to see the Christmas tree on.
The ever elusive page 6.
No, he said it's elusive.
Yeah, the elusive. We're finally getting there. We're finally finding it. Okay. Anybody have any discussion points, any comments?
Article 6, Section 1, so procedures is capitalized, is that defined somewhere?
Procedures?
Should be bylaws.
Yeah.
Or, well, or not capitalized, yeah.
Would say not capitalized.
Okay. Good with that, Steve?
The commission.
Okay. Anything else on page 6? I think we got through this one.
Does that mean we need
I would be interested in
Can
a
I
motion.
get clarification? So we'll get another version of this to review in December in writing, and then we vote on it in January?
Yes.
Okay.
And then maybe what we'll do is we'll get you a draft before our big agenda, and you guys look through it to make sure, and then give us any comments. And then we'll make sure we'll have a final draft for the meeting, kind of have a run through before the actual meeting. And then that way we don't keep on
Okay.
pushing it through.
And this says in number 2 on Section 6,
We have to do
statement of the purpose
Yes, so
and
we'll work
intended
on
effect
that,
of the
yeah.
proposed
And we'll
change.
have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clean it up. Clean and clarify.
All right, yeah.
Now I'm
I
okay.
think about entertaining a motion right about now.
Now I'm ready.
I like to move, that we move.
Should have done, nice.
I mean, do we dismiss or we just move to the other place?
I
mean, it's not really a meeting.
Moved.
Okay.
Huh?
I'm just looking at the agenda item.
So we move
We'll be
because we have a
meeting.
quorum, even though we're not going to discuss any meeting, any business?
I mean, I
We're
would,
just covered if we do.
No, sorry, meeting following meeting, staff. will be
Yeah, then
meeting
we're covered.
following- No, you can close, you can adjourn.
yeah,
this meeting.
adjourn it totally.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You did the first round? Okay.
To Trace Lunas.
It's
You want to join us?
Yeah, they're happy to. happy to have you.
posted and we're good.
Kurt's buying.
Kurt's buying.
What kind of aliens might show up?